a little bit more about what the outlook is when it comes to the semiconductor agri-tech space. 5G data consumption, is that just going to be the new normal? And how are we looking at the era of a revolution here? Jehil Thakkar is partner Deloitte India, now joins us on the show to discuss that and lots more, as well as what the outlook is when it comes to the kind of boost that we could get potentially from the World Cup. Thanks so much for taking time out and joining in. Let's just understand the outlook in terms of the overall semiconductor market, the agri-tech sector, because projections, according to Deloitte, are that it could be $55 billion and $34 billion by 2026 and 27 respectively. Take us through what exactly are some of the factors that you believe that will fuel this growth for the semiconductor market and agri-tech.
As far as semiconductors go, there are a number of factors coming together. As you know, we've been in a semiconductor drought due to COVID for a while, and one is the post-COVID bounce back in demand. Second is just the spurt of growth in electronics and consumables around the world, and the third is, of course, the growth of cloud around the world. So the demand is from the end use of semiconductors is growing significantly. India as a manufacturing base is likely to benefit because of now significant focus from the government and that cascading down to the private sector. We've seen announcements from a number of private sector players on their intent to set up fabs in India or to move parts of the value chain to India. So India as a semiconductor manufacturing base has a lot of promise, and we're very hopeful that comes to fruition fairly soon. As far as agri-tech goes, this is a market that has been under the radar for a while. There have been a significant amount of innovation going on in this space because if you look at India's agricultural market, there are a number of inefficiencies built into the model, and it's ripe for innovation and disruption from the use of technology. The benefits accruing to the end consumer can be significant, up to 30-40% in terms of end price. With the intervention of aggregation of demand, supply chains being made more efficient through the use of technology, logistics. So there are a number of intervention areas even in across the agricultural value chain with the use of technology, and I think the startup sector, venture capital, private equity is starting to wake up, or has woken up, I should say, to the potential of that.
Jehil, hi, Nikunj also joining in. So Jehil, let's connect the dots here. There is internet bandwidth, which is Jio. There is gaming, which is the new sort of sunrise sector. And on top of that, there are these big sectors like agri-tech, which are going to get created. And then there is semiconductor, which in a sense will grow. Is that the logical way of connecting the chain here?
You're absolutely right. And the underlying secret sauce here is telecom connectivity and last mile connectivity. I mean, we waited a long time for penetration to hit India's telecom connectivity to hit India's most remote areas, and we're there now. So we now have the infrastructure and the ecosystem for this entire sector to come to life.
If one looks at the semiconductor sector, now it's a sector which requires a lot of upfront capital, where you invest and then you only monetize it after half a decade or maybe after a decade. And up until now, we've only seen few corporate houses, they are really committing their shoulder to the wheel. So while on paper it's great, semiconductor demand, India's need for gaming, India's need for better mechanization, all that is great. But do you think somewhere the sector per se, which up until now has been dominated by, let's say, the Western countries and by Taiwan, it will be a struggle to have that kind of a parallel setup in India?
So, Nikunj, I think you're right that to have a parallel setup will be difficult. But I think you have to remember a couple of things have changed, from what used to be the old normal. One is, of course, geopolitics. This sector, chips, semiconductors, is really now being seen almost akin to oil, in that sense that it's a strategic asset to any economy and to the future of the functioning of the smooth functioning of a country. So the amount of government focus, incentives, subsidization. I mean, even in the US, you've seen significant amount of efforts to bring manufacturing back to the US. So you're seeing this as a geopolitical priority, which of course then when you incentivize the private sector, they act accordingly. So you will see a lot more a different landscape, I should say, than you have seen over the last 25, 30 years across the world.
Let's talk about a sector which you track with the magnifying glass, a sector which I am part of, media, and a sector which you track. What's happening in my sector? I'm using the word my because I represent that sector.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So right now, of course, the flavor of the day is, the World Cup and everything happening in the media sector around the World Cup. And of course, you now have elections coming up. We're in the middle of festive season. As you know, close to half of our advertising spend happens in this festive season. At the moment, advertising seems to have bounced back from some of the lows we were at earlier in the year and last year. I think we're on a good trajectory. I'm quite optimistic that we will continue on this path. I've said before that the World Cup will, provide, in our estimates, about a bump of about 2,000 crores to advertising, both digital and television in this period. So that should be a boost. I think the digital ecosystem is playing out well, and we're seeing a lot of movement even in terms of the structure of the industry. So few deals potentially happening, and the spends going up. So at this point of time, the sector does look healthy and robust with a lot of activity.
Right away from calling spade a spade, Jehil, something I've admired about you. When the sector was going through a crunch time, you said, look, next 2 years, Nikunj, would be tough in terms of advertising. But do you think right now it's not green shoot, it's more than green shoots now?
Yeah, I think that certainly seems to be, I think the green shoot, grown to green stocks, STALKS. I'm quite conscious on which channel I'm on. So, like I said, I think we're past that point of, where we were seeing, is this recovery going to hold, not hold? I believe it is going to hold. I think we're back on a growth trajectory. I think a number of brands are looking to spend again in terms of they're saying demand coming back. I think we'll see some of the old categories, etc., who were big spenders because of macro developments not being able to spend the kind of money that they used to spend. Especially e-learning, some of the gaming companies, etc. But overall, I think the traditional sectors are bouncing back. Paints, housing, FMCG, auto. I mean, some of those budgets I've seen are up for 40-50% from where they used to be. So I think we're back in terms of the growth rate.
Jehil, now there is one impact of the World Cup which is on the advertising industry. But every day we hear about the pizzas are going to be sold, what is happening to the air tickets, how instead of hotels, hospitals are getting booked in Ahmedabad. Total net impact of the World Cup, do you think it could be $2-3 billion more to the economy or more than that?
So frankly, we haven't at Deloitte, we haven't estimated the overall economic impact. But these events, and the estimates range from just $1.5 billion to $3 billion overall in terms of the economic impact. But obviously, it will be significant. Anywhere in that range is great. So We will see where we land, and it really depends on how far India goes and what the performance is. Because really, for this country, it's really how well the home team does. If we go far all the way to the final, maybe win it, then obviously you're on the top of that range, and otherwise you're not. So I think
Are you
that's where
going
we'll
for
sit.
Jehil? How many matches personally you're going for? How many matches is Deloitte India going for?
Well, Deloitte India, I don't know how many. I'm going for one.
India Pakistan?
No, I unfortunately couldn't. I wish that was the case. Yeah, but I couldn't. The tickets are astronomical in some cases. So.
Is that coming from a partner of Deloitte India? Then it's really astronomical.
Well, I'll take that money and invest in some of the stocks.
So let's wrap the show with some stock tips then, now that you're investing already.
So unfortunately, Nikunj, I can't do that. And if I was that good at that, I would be sitting at home just trading.
Always so nice to have you, Jehil. I mean, we must talk more often, and I will perhaps request you to send us your selfie shots when you're going for the cricket match. We'll have to carry them.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Jehil.
Okay, thank you.
We'll stay with